Okay, so sorry. In this video, I want to talk about the differences with a tattoo when the tattoo is healed and a tattoo when it's done. Comparison. Both of them is the same. One is 1 year old. The other one, the picture is. So the thing here is when we look, example this one. I zoom in on like this is the tattoo when before it was healed, and we can see here at the example the red, and the other one is the purple, and the purple is very bright before it's healed. So the interesting thing here, I think is interesting. This is my tattoo. So I get this one, the frog I get in December last year, and this picture is taken in the studio, and this picture is taken this month today. It's the same tattoo but a different one. Is 1 year old picture, another one is new picture. The one with the August is the new one, December is the old one. So yeah, okay, so the thing here is we can see the red works really good. That I can say for certainty on my skin. I have some tattoos maybe are maybe 7 years old. That is red, have red in it, works perfectly. Yeah. So okay. So the thing here that are most visible, most clear in the picture of the old one comparable to the new one is the same tattoo. Is that the green? The green is much more darker before it's healed, comparable when this tattoo is healed. So remember this picture where it's the Augusti is the one that is taken today. The picture is taken today. And the one with December is the one that are 1 year old picture. So you see the differences is how different comparison with the color volume. Both of them green eyes, but the green is much more lighter later on after the tattoo have healed, comparable when the tattoo was not yet healed on the skin. And that I think is a bit interesting, that not all green will do that, but some green will be lighter on darker skin tone comparable to other kind of green. For example, now I don't remember exactly what kind of green my tattoo artist do for this color, what kind of green, if there is many variation of green, like jungle green, olive green, teal. There's many different names for the green when you talk about ink. So it's, yeah. Okay, how can I do? Okay, so yeah, so we see here one example. What you see, the most clear you can see the red is much more lighter. Okay, we do like this. So the red is much more brighter when it was new, and you can see here on the new picture, but the picture was taken. That picture was taken today. The picture is much more. The red is much more darker. So that can give me some hint that next time I do a tattoo with color, then I can see for a picture that I have. One is in the studio from a tattoo artist, and one is from a picture that was taken today with my own mobile phone. So this, yeah. So the thing here is, the interesting thing here to comparison is to see the differences how a tattoo look when the tattoo is healed, and how the differences from the picture before the tattoo was healed. And sorry, to really see the differences, you see the red is much darker the red, and if you look this one on the leaf, you see the red is much more lighter. On the skin it's much more lighter, and the red is much more brighter, and this one is much more darker. The one new picture is darker, the before hielld is brighter, and that helps in some sense that I can see that some, for example, the red, and red here, red is also some different version of red. Of course, there's a different version. So that I can see with the red one is I can see that red will get a bit darker, but it's still gonna look good. And so this one is 1 year. There's a reason why I talk about this one, because it's 1 year old. Yeah, so you can see really the differences is that the red get darker, but the green get lighter. That is interesting. That I think very interesting is that the eyes on the frog, is a darker green, is darker than before the tattoo was healed. When after the tattoo get healed, the green gets much brighter. And that is interesting. It's totally opposite with the red. The red get darker, but the red was brighter from the beginning, but it get darker when it was healed. So that I think is interesting how that can be at the color. So that means that so the skin tone is probably not the issue here with the how bright the color is. Maybe some color, example red and green, is maybe some green are easier to be brighter on darker skin. I don't know. I say just maybe. And some other green are easier to get darker. So maybe it's like, that is the problem. Only problem here is I do not know exactly if there was olive green we used for the eyes of the frog or some other kind of green. So that if I know that, that would be much more easy to then I can explain much easier the reason why something gets this bright and the other one gets so dark. Much is darker. So if we look here, this is the new picture. This one is taken today in August. This is a new picture. You can look at the eyes. You see the green is very bright. And if we go back to the old picture and we zoom in on the eyes here, and remember, this eyes of the frog is the picture taken in the studio before the tattoo have healed. It was 1 year ago. So the green is much more darker here, and the green gets much more lighter 1 year later. But it's totally opposite with the red. Okay. Here you can see the red, the big leaf. You see the red here. This is the picture, the old picture. When I'm zooming now, is the old picture. Okay. Very bright red. Very bright. Then we go back. Then we go into the new picture. We zoom out, and we zoom in on the leaf, the red leaf. You can see the leaf is much more darker. It's still red, but darker. The other one is brighter, but another thing I have to say with this thing, this tattoo is placed on a part of my body when you it was done in the winter. That's also one thing I have to say. The tattoo was done in the winter, so there was no, and there's no. I don't know how to say in English the name. My face. Yeah, the tattoo is put on the place when you always have clothing over, so the sunlight cannot reach that so often. So that is also interesting. It's not about anything about the sunlight. It's nothing about the skin tone that get darker because there's sunlight, or there is always something over that to protect it. So there's something else to make it much more brighter and the outside darker. So it's nothing with the sunlight. It's nothing about that. So the other thing is very, very interesting is how something, like for example, how one color, for example, red, some red can get darker, and how some green from darker green can get lighter green, but it's the same place and nothing is changed, just the tattoos have aged 1 year, of course. So yeah, I think that's very, very interesting to really see that how much the difference is some color get darker, some color get lighter, and so if I learn, for example, if I learn in the future what color gonna get darker when I try it, of course I have to try it, you have to try it, and then I can see next time I want to use that color I already have on my older tattoo, I can see, okay, this one gets so dark, okay, or this one gets so bright on the skin. And okay, can you make another example? You look at the new picture with the yellow leaf, brown is yellow, like this one. Okay, the new one. You can see here, if you look at the old picture with the yellow leaf, you see it's much clearer when the tattoo have healed and get dark, much more brighter. So that means that some color that are very bright get darker on some skin tone, and some color get lighter on some darker skin tone. That is the thing. So maybe that is the thing that you have to see exactly what color will get brighter. How that color needs always be pumped up and much stronger, but they're gonna be maybe too light. And the other side, you have to see one color get too dark. You have to make it brighter, but you have to always find the right balance to the whole thing. That is I think it's very interesting to talk about, because it's interesting to see the differences with the colors, how some color get brighter, some color get darker. For example, the red one here and the green one. The green one gets much brighter and the red one gets much darker. And so that means that it's not the green in that sense, or the red, is what kind of red, what kind of green you have on your skin. Like some green, just because something green does not mean the green gonna heal the same way. Just because green works all the time, different version of green works, do not mean they're gonna be exactly the same healing process of that green comparable to the other green. Example, in my next video I'm gonna show. For example, I have a tiger. There's totally opposite with that tiger. It was very bright green. First it was bright, first dark and bright, and dark again. And it's totally opposite from this green. Like this, it was dark and bright and then dark. So that means maybe is that because if there was something placed on the body when there's lots of sunlight on, I understand maybe there was the sunlight made it much more brighter or darker, but it's not the case in this one. This tattoo is the case in something else. So that have to mean that there have to be that some green will get darker when they have healed, or some green will get brighter when they have healed. And yeah, so that is everything I really want to say, so you know. So when you have darker skin tone and you want to get a color tattoo, always try to look around for different version of the color you want, and always talk with your tattoo artist. But remember, just because one type of green you have, for example, do not mean that the second one green gonna be exactly the same result. That is the important thing. So just because you have maybe olive green, or next time you use jungle green, do not mean that green gonna be. So maybe the darker green is, maybe the more brighter the green will get, or opposite side, or maybe totally opposite. Yeah. So this is interesting to see, really interesting to see these kind of things. For the makes, like, if you can take picture on your own tattoo on your own skin, and you can see, for example, when you're outside in the summer, for example, a tattoo that plays when a lot of sunlight. And also interesting to see the differences that have nothing to do with sunlight, but there's something else that make it much more brighter. Maybe that the place of the body, some parts of the body are much brighter. So that can be that if some place is darker on your skin, and some place on your skin is brighter. So maybe example you can say, for example, if the place that you put one color, example jungle green, on your thighs, that is much brighter because you have panties. You have panties and over it, so it's not lots of sunlight. Maybe that means that you get much brighter. But if you put the same tattoo on the other place on your body, there's lots of sunlight on. Maybe the color is going to be darker version of that color. Yeah, and this kind of thing. So yeah, we can also see here. Okay, if we look at this leaf, the big green one, you see it is darker. You can see here. Sorry, here. This one, the old picture, and then we go to the new picture, same tattoo. You see it's a bit brighter, so that means that probably something will get brighter after some time, after the tattoo have healed, comparable how a tattoo will look. So comparable with how a tattoo will look if later on. So I cannot say for certain because it's so different with colors, and but there's lots of good YouTube channels that are tattoo artists and talk about this kind of thing. One is I really like, I can really strongly recommend. It's Fireside Tattoo, and they talk about different things, and they have one video that they explain the different skin tone and different colors pattern to that. I really recommend that YouTube channel. They explain this thing much better than I ever can explain, and so they really explain that. So it's very interesting to watch this kind of thing, because the more you watch different tattoo artists and talk about this kind of thing on color and skin tone, and you like colors, then you can learn more about what kind of color is more safe to use, because they're going to look good, much better on the skin longer time, comparable to a tattoo that maybe, for example, first time I ever used purple, the purple was really quickly toned down, and next time I use purple, we try red in the purple and it works much better. So maybe some color you need always to have darker version of that color to be much more visible, or sometimes maybe you have to have some balance. But I never think you should have too bright colors, because when the tattoo heals, I don't know. It's a lot of things that are make it much more complicated. For something that are very bright get very dark, and some color that are very bright get dark. So maybe it's opposite. Maybe the color that are bright will get darker, and the color that are darker will get brighter. So maybe if you want to have a bright tattoos, maybe you're always gonna have to use darker first to get them brighter, and you have to just wait to get the color you want, either from darker to brighter, but there are also interesting things for some colors that are brighter. Maybe if you use colors that are brighter, but you want darker, it's gonna be darker. I don't know for certainty if that is 100% the case all the time, but yeah. So that's everything I really want to say in this video, and yeah, I hope this video was you like it. Yeah, so. And there's lots of much more things like this. It's lots of more. It's much more complicated in this way. What I talk about is much more complicated because it's also about. I think it's much more. I think it's much more. What kind of place on the body is one example. The other one is. What kind of version of that? I think some color, example, if green works, I think some green works better because it gets darker. Some green works. So there's like, it's interesting that. So maybe it's like that. If yeah, it's a bit complicated, like in that sense. What I mean with the whole thing is like, maybe it's that if, for example, what I really want to say is maybe some type of green have some white ink in it, for example, or some other color, so maybe a bit yellow in the green to make that version of the green. And if your skin tone yellow works good on your skin tone, maybe that part of the yellow in the green maybe disappear, but there's so little yellow in it, so the tattoo is still green. It makes any big notice, because just the volume makes big differences. But that can be the case. Like if you see the differences, so maybe some green or maybe have something in it to make it brighter. Or if maybe that color gonna be brighter. So if the color have no white ink, for example, maybe there gonna be differences with the result after some years. So that is the thing. I personally, my personal opinion with tattoos with white ink in the mix of the color, I am a bit against. I don't think that is wrong to have. I just think I don't prefer to have it when I get tattoos. I always ask my tattoo artist to not put in white ink, because I think my tattoo will always heal naturally better without any help of the white ink to make it much brighter, some bit brighter. And of course, so that is the thing. So I think you just use the natural color. Example green. Take green and you take the other color, and you just use these colors that are just how they are. I think that is going to be a better result, comparable if you have darker skin, comparable if you put lots of white ink in it, because it's going to be maybe brighter and maybe some. Yeah, I think it's much better to just use the color that you like and do something else to make it brighter. This is what I think, but everybody do what they want. I just say what I think, what I prefer. I always, when I do tattoos, I always gonna take colors that are right, like this bottle of green, or this bottle of turquoise blue, this bottle of red, or this bottle of purple, dark purple, and I take red mixed with the dark purple, and I think it's better just do it and do not mix around with to make it brighter. You can always use water to make it brighter. I think that is better. So some place on the body will be called to make it brighter. So that is the case, maybe because it's brighter, the skin is brighter. And Yeah, so that is the thing here. If we really look, I absolutely think that some color that I absolutely think some colors that are too bright is not going to end up good on the darker skin because it's too bright. And I always prefer a darker version of that color. I think because they're gonna be brighter. Some color will get brighter, or some color get darker. So I think it's much safer to start with the dark color, and then you see from there you can see if they're gonna be brighter when they're healed, or they're gonna stay the same. But I think if you do it bright, the color too bright, then then you can only maybe only go one way, and that's going to be too bright. So I'm not 100% certain. I think that's the case, that maybe it's always safer if you have darker skin to try to have darker version of that color to make it brighter, but do not go the opposite side. And this kind of thing. And of course, you have to look around much more longer on the tattoo, like before. Like this one is just 1 year old, this tattoo, and maybe if you do exactly the same video, maybe 5 or 6 years later, maybe you see much more details, much more detail on the skin, on the color, and this kind of thing. Yeah, you can see much more maybe detail. But that thing that makes it so interesting is that the red is different. But like one red is very bright, another one much more toned down. But it's opposite with the green. The green is much more toned down before they get healed, and when they get tattoo was healed, it's much more toned up. Much volume is toned up of the color of the green. So that can mean something, that maybe that green is much more preferable in some sense, and the red, but the red works also very good. But the green maybe you can get much more brighter version of green, maybe easier on my skin, comparable to on my skin with the red. That I don't know, but maybe that is the case. Maybe a green you can always do brighter version, and red you have to maybe be a bit more, not so much careful, but a bit more careful with the red one comparable to the green one, and this kind of thing. So yeah, we look here. So yeah, you can see here the green is much darker, and here the green is much brighter. Yeah, and that is the interesting thing, that just the eyes is so clear. The differences, the comparison differences about that. So if we go to other tattoo, okay, we go to this one. Take a picture like this, and we go here, and we do like this. Okay. Old picture, new picture. Okay, you can see here again, the red is much darker, and the red here is much brighter. On the old picture it's much brighter. And if we look at the wings, you see the wings here are much bit darker turquoise blue, much darker, but you can still see the turquoise blue. It's a bit darker, and on the on the new picture, the turquoise blue is a bit darker. On the old picture, the turquoise blue on the wing is much brighter. So that's also an interesting thing, that the red get darker after some time. And we can look here on the green, first on the old picture with the green, that the green is the typical, probably very much the same as the old picture. The green is very much similar to the new picture of the green. It's very similar. The difference is that this green on the old picture is the green is much more darker, but on the new picture the green is much brighter, lighter. So that is the thing here again. Is that's what I mean when the other video. What I mean is that let's talk about the green with different green. Like you see, the opposite is here is that the green eyes and on the frog. So much before this one, before the wasp, the green was much darker before the tattoo was healed, and the green on the eyes would get much more brighter after the tattoo was healed. But this green is opposite. So here we see the green is darker, but when the tattoo have healed, the green get much brighter. So that means they're not about just the green is going to be a different result with the green. So some green maybe have more white ink in it to make it that result, or some have no white ink, or maybe some bit yellow to make it this version. I don't really know exactly why. Some green get different result, and the red. So it's like the red is much more tomato red when the tattoo was healed, and the red was much more purplish red before the tattoo was healed. It's interesting, like how different the volume is. Like some is one side of the red, one under is opposite side. So the interesting thing here, if this darker red was from the beginning, if that darker red gonna turn into this one, the opposite side. So maybe that is the case. If the light green that you have on the frog's eyes in the tattoo, if that was opposite, this was the color from before it was healed, and that color will get darker when the tattoo is healed. So maybe it's the thing, if you see on the picture, we can see here that maybe it's like if I use tomato red, that I will get a totally different result of the red when the tattoo was healed, because I used an opposite. If you understand what I mean. So picture this one, this red is before the tattoo is healed, and this red is the tattoo when it's healed. Of course, that is not. This is the one. So the thing here is, here we see the final result of the tattoo. Here we see before the tattoo have healed, before the have shed its skin of the color. So that is maybe interesting. So maybe if this was that color when it was healed, but if I use this color, then maybe they're going to be that result when the tattoo is healed. So maybe that is the thing. So if there is like so maybe if light is like lighter, maybe get that result and so on. So that's very interesting to see that something gets much brighter and something gets much darker of the result before it's finished, and this kind of thing. And that is everything I want to talk about in this video. I hope this it was helpful. And so you see here, in that sense, what I mean quickly, but to finish off, is some red, some red will get totally opposite. Like some red gonna be much darker red, like almost tomato red, comparable to the brighter yellows. It's a very different in how darker red, how it get comparable before it was hielld. So that is interesting, that how darker you get compared to how much brighter you get. So yeah. So then, yeah. So the only bad thing here, I don't know exactly what kind of red. So I cannot see next, if I want to have the opposite, I cannot do it because I don't remember exactly what I don't remember what kind of red. We use red because it's made different reds, so it's very hard to say in this kind of thing, in this kind of sense, in this kind of, so this is very complicated in that sense. If I know exactly what red, then I can use exactly the opposite side of red and maybe get different result. And this can be, yeah. So that's everything I want to say. Hope you liked the video. Okay, bye.